White has the day off, and we are joined now in the studio by Team CTS. Good morning, all. Welcome.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Right, now, why don't you all introduce yourselves? Since two of you are quite familiar, one is not. Let's start right here.
Thomas Vaughn.
Thomas. Oh,
do you like
Thomas
that?
now.
Do you like that?
Wait a minute, it's been Tommy for like the whole time you've been here, because it was Tom, then Tommy, now Thomas.
I'm
you
going
rang
with
like a rotation?
I'm going with Thomas. I'm trying to keep my name off the FBI hit list for Mar-a-Lago. None of those documents were mine.
So that I can know who it is.
Sherry here.
Sherry, how are you doing?
Good.
Sherry Arthur, yes. And a voice you will not have heard before.
That's right, AJ Owen.
All right, so we have Tom, Sherry, AJ all here with us. And if anybody is bad, Sherry will karate chop them. So you don't have any problems there. Now, before we get in to the real stuff, we're going to talk about your podcast. We can talk about scam and two-factor authentication. But we've been talking about Mar-a-Lago, obviously, on and off all morning long. It's the biggest story out there. We may this afternoon find out more. I certainly hope so. We could really use transparency here, but let's dispense with the seriousness and all the fun speculation that we have seen of what people might find. And Tom, you want to jump in there?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure they're going to find all those deleted emails from Hillary and probably some crack pipes. Just throwing that out there. That's what I think.
You think Hunter Biden's been there?
I think they have pictures of it, and that was the only way they could get it public, was to put it in Trump's closet.
There you are. Anybody else want to weigh in? I've seen all the treasure ones, OJ's bloody knife, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
What safer place than your wife's closet?
Well, that's the thing. As I look at the stories, it looks like whoever told them look in there specifically. Now, I don't know if they're hiding stuff in there or what, but I mean, if you have a locked room in the basement, surely that's where you keep important things, and not. I mean,
or a safe.
Well, there was nothing in the safe. That is a fair point.
I don't know. His basement might be like Mr. Gray's. It might be a room full of things, but
it's certainly it could be, and maybe we will find this out. But,
yeah, it's crazy to think that you could just take our DOJ and use it like a weapon politically. It's what I feel like. Because they're saying they just needed to find documents that were missing in other presidents taking all these documents, but they didn't raid their houses.
Well, the problem because I've heard that about President Obama.
Right.
And there's plenty of problems with what he took, but the difference is they actually went through the National Archives to Chicago. Yeah, they went through the process. The problem is, what I think is a violation, if not law, at least custom and rules, they haven't made the physical copies of them available. They've had them over 5 years, because we're going to digitize them to everyone see them. But we're just going to let the National Archives do that and take their time, and no one gets to see them until they're all finished.
Right.
So I'm not saying that they are hiding something that they think will not be a big deal in a couple of years, but it is worth being suspicious because they are stonewalling, essentially. So,
right. So my understanding is they came out and checked on documents and safety and stuff like that a couple weeks before this raid.
Oh, they've been out there they were out there from May through sometime in June, because it was the last one in June where they said, hey, would you put a better padlock on the store? Right. It's not secure enough. And that's the other question, is we don't know what changed. Mm-hmm. At some point, this seemingly cordial kind of, I think it was described in one article as breezy. They were just kind of, hey, what's up? And I don't know what changed there, if it's someone from the National Archives said, hey, we don't have what we thought we had, or what. And it's, once again, we're operating with a big dearth of information.
Or somebody just want to go play dress up in Lonnie's closet.
well, yeah. With any luck, it was the first lady and not the president. It's not the picture any of us I think would want to see. All right, well let's enough goofing on. Let's goofing off. Let's goofing on. Maybe there's something there. Let's move on. Hey, you guys have a new podcast, so you are just like all the cool kids.
Yeah, we're the cool kids on the block now. We do have a podcast. You can find it on Spotify and Apple Music. It's called the Technology Plus Business Podcast, and that's exactly what we talk about, technology and business. So we bring in our customers, our community leaders, and we say, hey, how do you use technology in your business? How are you successful with it? Kind of talk about the beginning of how technology technology was. We brought in Mary from here and Ashley, and you
I've got
guys.
some sketchy radio people in
Oh
there.
yeah, and we were able to learn what happened in the beginning of radio and how Mary had to use a razor blade we know about all of it now, and it's out on our podcast. So if you want to listen more about how WLNI used to make radio segments, go over there and check it out.
Yeah, that is. I'm glad I don't go quite that far. I cannot imagine pre-digital days, but certainly a lot more physical work. And so Spotify and
Apple Podcasts.
So Spotify is really killing it on the podcast now.
Oh yeah.
That's a good site for them. All right. So, and how many do you have so far?
How many episodes?
Mm-hmm.
We're about like 5 so far, so you can binge it if you want.
There you
Please,
are.
more downloads the better.
And now, do they just come out as you sort of have a new topic? Do you have it on the schedule? Or
so
how do
we
you do
actually
it?
are going to launch 1 episode per week. It's going to be a brand new episode. Whether it's going to feature our customers, like I said, our community leaders. We also have Team CTS coming in, and we're answering the heavy hitter questions that we typically receive as MSPs, like, which one is cheaper, bringing IT in-house or outsourcing. So we have plenty of time to talk about that and just break down the cost analysis and everything.
All right. So, and then if people want to send you a question or anything like that, it's something that maybe like to hear you address in a podcast, what do you think for them to do?
Just email us at info@teamcts.com.
All right. Very good. Very good. All right. So let's talk here about two-factor authentication and specifically scams. And Tom, right off the bat, if you would, for people who are not familiar with two-factor authentication, which would probably mean you don't have a bank, tell us what that is.
Right. So two-factor authentication is a way to assure that whoever is logging in is the correct person to be logging in. So it's something you know and something you have. So generally that's like your password, right? And then whether it's an app or you get a text message or an email, FIDO token, there's a bunch of different ways that you can use it. However, the thing I want to talk about is, if anybody was watching the news last night, there's been a big push towards, and the FBI sent out a statement about it, about your SIMs being stolen from the carrier.
Tell us what that is.
So the SIM card in your phone is what determines your phone number, right? So when a call comes in, that's where it goes, and your data, your information, that's kind of like your ID, your social security number, for lack of better terms, on your phone. And so what happens is they're stealing these from the carrier, and your phone, all of a sudden you have no idea, and the criminal's phone is now receiving all the same information. And then they're able to use your two-factor log into your bank, and I think it was $68 million last year from only 1,600 people that they did that to. Ended up being
1,600 people, then I guess.
They did. So that's from the FBI. I mean, that's their numbers.
All right, so do we know how they are getting that from the carrier?
So they can call in and say they're you, and they got a new phone. Right? So they get your information. I mean, gosh, they know when your birthday is, when your mom's birthday is, the town you grew up in. Because remember, you're on Facebook giving all this information up anyway. So that all they got to do is pretend they're you. So there is some things you can do that, I know they didn't talk about this in the news, but you can do a SIM lock on your phone. That's one way to do it, where you put a code and password in, and that SIM can't be used for anything else, only that phone, unless it's been unlocked. So that's one option. But the carriers are going to have to get better at it. But what I really want to talk about is some of the basic ways. Email is the absolute worst way. It's still two-factor, but if I have your password and I'm in your email, then I'm going to get all the two-factor that you have coming to you, which a lot of people would do, Amazon, other stuff. Text messages is the second worst way to do it. I mean, it's still better than nothing, but there are better ways.
That's what most people do, though, is it's just a straight text. So let me ask you there, are you better off using something like Google Authenticator or one of these apps, and is there one you think is particularly good?
Well, I think they're all the ones that we work with that you're going to get from the Microsoft or Google or anything. Authenticator apps are great, and that's where the code shows up on your phone, or you get a push notification where it says, "Are you trying to log in?" and you can click yes or no. Those are great, but if they steal your SIM, become you, then that's kind of not that great either. So my big thing, what I think you're going to see a lot more of, and I think there are some banks now that are using it, but you can get FIDO tokens, or what they call YubiKeys is one.
What are those?
So it's just a little device. It can be on your phone, on the back of your phone, in your pocket, hooked to your keys. It could be a number of different ways. They're either USB or, they can just near field communication. So there's a trusted relationship and a long row of numbers and letters that are related to you that will only show up during the time that you are told to touch your YubiKey, right? So then AJ was talking this morning about the biometric YubiKeys. So you have to have your password, you have to touch your YubiKey, and the YubiKey is looking to make sure it's your fingerprint.
All right, well then, AJ, let me bring you in because that's what I wanted to ask next. As far is biometrics the next step here? Because I keep hearing we're not going to have passwords anymore. All this stuff is going to go away. It's going to be your thumbprint or it's going to be your retina scan or something. So, AJ, fill us in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely going to get to that. I feel like you see that now. If you got an iPhone, you know, my wife has one and her face unlocks it. So, yeah, you're seeing that more in our industry now. And to Tommy's point, you know, the YubiKeys themselves have been what I feel like has been the new technology that's come out for two-factor, and they've just added biometrics to that to increase the security. So yeah, I definitely think before too long you'll stick your eye in something and you know it'll unlock your phone. It'll
it's
unlock
like
your
that. What was that Tom Cruise movie, Minority Report?
Yeah.
You know, just reading your eyes all the time.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be the age of everything.
I like it better on my phone than just following me around.
Yeah,
everywhere.
for sure.
All right, so then the question for everyone here: let's say you're not just having them text you. You've got an authenticator program. You've got your YubiKey. You've got your thumbprint there. At that point, can you feel like, hey, I'm secure and I don't have to worry too much?
I don't think we'll ever be at a place where you're going to feel that way. I mean, there's a certain acceptable risk that we're going to have to be, because I mean, the criminals are going to continue to change, which is why a company like CTS is not just here to, you know, fix your printer. It's an ongoing process of building and changing and maneuvering, just like any kind of plan.
So with any of the clients, or if you're providing this kind of a service, I mean, you're checking in with them on a regular basis. It's weekly, it's monthly, it's something. What have you seen? Hey, here's what we've noticed. Here's what we recommend, that kind of stuff.
So the big part is we're in several different large industry groups that, you know, we communicate weekly about different threats. And then if there's anything major, we get notifications because of those groups that we're in, and we're able to go in and make changes. A big one we've made a lot of changes to recently is a lot of the remote management software and the permissions related to the users within it. So if you have admin rights as your actual user, that's wrong. You shouldn't have admin rights. There should be an admin that doesn't have admin rights either. The admin account should be a separate account with its own set of credentials that you already have to authenticate that you are you before you have access to it.
And it's so much easier when it's just admin and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and everybody can use it. I mean, it just makes the day so much smoother.
You'd be surprised. We've actually turned away customers who called us because there were security concerns, and they were like, "No, we want to continue to use password 123 or shared users," or we're like, "Yeah, we can't even risk. We won't even be insured if we do that."
I mean, I understand that. I mean, I like everything to be convenient too, but at some point, you see the world around you. Do you not? I mean, do you really have people who are that recalcitrant over it?
We, believe it or not, right here in Lynchburg, we have multiple times run into situations where they're not willing to make some of those changes because of convenience. However, you know, if they do, or when something happens, I don't know that they'll still be here.
And 95% of cybersecurity attacks is due to human error. So the moment we actually take cybersecurity seriously and we actually start changing our passwords, then maybe we can see some adjustment here. But yeah, I mean, if you want to keep the same password, good luck.
There you are. It's 8:20 on the morning line. We'll be back with Team CTS. More right after this. Yeah, it's Teams. I've changed my password for everything. And Teams will not recognize my damn new. Everything else is fine.
That's
But
yeah.
part of me thinks live with it.
So I think some of the stuff which, you know, you were talking about, which we can talk about more, the facial recognition is actually using more than just your eyes, your face, like even the Apple stuff. But you can now use that as a two-factor with Microsoft. And Microsoft is talking.
That's how I do it.
Yeah, you just literally, I look at my computer when I turn it on, and before I can even start to type anything in, it sees me and lets me in.
Yeah, I put my password in for my email. I get the thing on my phone. I click accept, and then it scans my face and it lets me into my email.
Yeah.
But then there's that Big Brother theory of like people stealing like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, but that's any biometrics, right? Whether it's your fingerprint, because it knows what it should be looking for, right? Mm-hmm. So it already has the data. So if you hack that data, then you can reproduce it. So I think, again, there's risk in everything you do. So
Just got to minimize.
You just got to minimize it by not.
Should I
doing
make copies of the Friday 5 sheet?
Yeah, it is just a climb the ladder, so that'll make it easy enough. But yeah,
I think it always.
we have our 8 bad actors to climb the ladder.
8 bad actors.
Start out with Arnold Schwarzenegger and finish with Nicolas Cage.
Dang.
That's great.
So we've got a clip from each
Bad
of them.
actors.
And so we'll
Keanu-
play the clip, and then people get to guess.
I met the
okay.
the stunt double for I can't ever pronounce his
Keanu
name.
Reeves?
Yes, and I was like, "Did you like him?" He said it's the best actor he's ever met, and I was like, "Oh, why?" And he was like, "He's genuine, and he gives all his stunt doubles a free Harley Davidson."
Woo!
Yeah, he
like-
manufactures.
Well, yeah, he
bikes,
came from nothing.
but he manufactures bikes too. That's his.
Well,
MO.
oh, okay.
And
But,
he was the Red Ranger. as
well, look, if he's going to give you a free Harley
Was it
Davidson,
really?
what's not to like?
right?
You know?
Thank you.
Right.
Oh yeah, and our clip is actually goes all the way back to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. So we'll see how long people's memories go back for that
I
one.
can't remember. I just know
That's
it's
so
bad
great.
actors.
Yeah, this one, I don't think any of them really hard.
I just-
Amber Heard, we
that's
took
the
part
one,
of the trial.
yeah. That's
we took part of
awesome.
her trial testimony. That was
I was
Anthony's
so into
suggestion.
that trial. It was bad.
Oh, so was Anthony. Anthony was our
All
daily
day, every
update.
day.
Millennial
All
fan.
day, every day.
He had the update every morning.
I turned it on when it started, and I turned it off when we went to break for the day.
My favorite is when Johnny Depp would hit the attorney would say something like, "Well, this was a pretty wild thing, wasn't it?" He's like, "You there? Were you there?
Were you there?
Were you
Did
there?"
you see what
Yeah, because
happened?
you're telling.
Wild party